At McLeodganj, the main suburb of Dharamshala, one can sample
Hello and welcome to this edition of Express News. I'm Rukma. Let's begin by taking a look at the top 100 stories making headlines across India and the world. We begin with news from Assam, where over 1,500 cadres of all the four factions of the National Democratic Front of Bodoland lay down arms in Guwahati today. Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal and Finance Minister of the state Himanta Biswa Sharma attended the ceremony. NDAP factions, which have signed a tripartite peace treaty with the central and state governments on Monday, gave up arms as part of the agreement of the Bodo Accord. This was the second surrender ceremony in the state this month. 1,500 crore rupees financial package in the next 3 years will be given for the development of the Bodoland territorial region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes to Twitter saying the historic accord protects the interests of all communities of Assam. This is a victory for all, victory for humanity, inspired by the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas, and by spirit of Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat. One positive case of novel coronavirus infection reported in Kerala in student from Wuhan University. Patient is stable and is being closely monitored in isolation in hospital in Kerala. In the wake of the country's first coronavirus infection, Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare Dr. Harshvardhan assures that best possible response measures are in place to check the spread of the virus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chairs all-party meeting ahead of budget session of Parliament, which is beginning tomorrow. Meeting was aimed at seeking cooperation for smooth transaction of business in both houses of Parliament. Leaders from 26 political parties attended the meet. Ahead of budget session of Parliament, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prasar Joshi says Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed his government's willingness to listen and discuss with the opposition on all issues. Responding to opposition criticism on CAA, Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Prasar Joshi says Citizenship Amendment Act does not take away the rights of any citizen. Says the amended act has been passed democratically in Parliament. Nation today observed the 72nd death anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi as Martyrs' Day or Shaheed Divas, where homage is paid to freedom fighters who lay down their lives for the country's independence. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President, Prime Minister, Defence Minister along with Chief Defence Staff, Army, Navy and Air Force chiefs paid homage to Father of the Nation at Rajghat. Prayer meeting and Sarva Dharma Prarthana Sabha organized at Rajghat, where tributes were paid to the Father of the Nation through his favorite bhajan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends prayer meetings at Gandhi Samadhi and Gandhi Smriti. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu pays tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. In a tweet says, through the philosophy of Ahimsa, Satyagraha and non-cooperation, Gandhiji galvanized the masses and spearheaded the national movement. Gandhiji's vision of achieving Gram Swaraj should be the way forward. Union Ministers Amit Shah and Prakash Javadekar paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. Home Minister Amit Shah says Gandhiji's thoughts are as relevant now as they were decades earlier. His dream of Swachh Bharat is being effectively cherished by PM Modi today. BJP President JP Nadda takes to Twitter, pays homage to Mahatma Gandhi, says the true homage to Gandhiji is to imbibe his values in life. Celebrating 150 years of the Mahatma, a digital exhibition has been organized by Department of Science and Technology. Digital Gandhi, it is titled. It features a virtual reality experience of the Sabarmati Ashram, a charkha, which is animated with an AR app when viewed through a smartphone. Virtual experience of Gandhiji's travels and so on. Delhi Chief Election Officer Ranbir Singh informs that 17 cases registered against Aam Aadmi Party, 4 against Bharatiya Janata Party and 7 against Indian National Congress till now under Delhi Prevention of Defacement of Property Act and Model Code of Conduct. In the wake of Delhi Assembly elections, Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal addresses press conference today. Arvind Kejriwal says he has worked for Delhi like a son. Now the decision is in the public's hand. BJP senior leader Amit Shah campaigns for party in Chhatarpur area in Delhi today, appeals to people to vote for the BJP. Basant Panchami, which is also known as Saraswati Puja, celebrated in different parts of the country today with religious fervour and traditional gaiety. People, especially students, worship Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, on the occasion. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu greets people on the auspicious occasion of Basant Panchami, which is celebrated across the country to mark the beginning of the spring. In a tweet, Vice President says worship of Goddess Saraswati signifies resolve to achieve wisdom from ignorance. Supreme Court rejects curative petition of Akshay, fourth convict in Nirbhaya case, who had sought commutation of his death sentence to life imprisonment. He is the third convict to move the curative plea after Mukesh and Vinay. Meanwhile, reacting on the court's decision to reject the curative petition of one of the convicts, Nirbhaya's father hopes justice will prevail, says there is need for patience. Market benchmark Sensex tumbles to 84 points to settle at 40,913.8, hits intraday low of 40,829.9 and a high of 41,380.1. Broader NSE Nifty closes 93.70 points, down at 12,035.8. Rupee loses 22 paise to close at 3-week low of 71.49 against the US dollar on Thursday, tracking heavy sell-off in domestic equities amid rising concerns over the outbreak of coronavirus. Gold prices jump 400 rupees to 41,524 per 10 grams in national capital, helped by wedding season demand and overall recovery in global prices. Silver prices also climbed 737 rupees to 47,392 rupees per kg from 46,655 rupees on Wednesday. Crude oil futures fall by 23 rupees to 3,783 rupees per barrel after participants reduced positions, tracking a weak trend in overseas markets. And updates now on the coronavirus. In major decision to contain the virus outbreak, Chinese President Xi Jinping orders military to shoulder responsibility. President Xi, who heads the People's Liberation Army, tells the military to keep their mission firmly in mind and make contribution to winning the battle against the novel virus. The military is already pressing thousands of its medical personnel into Wuhan. Meanwhile, WHO praises China for efforts to tackle the new coronavirus outbreak, expresses optimism that the transmission could be halted. Central health body will reconvene its emergency committee on Thursday, third time in a week on the crisis, as health experts warn of the epidemic reaching a peak in next 10 days, resulting in big increase in number of cases. Meanwhile, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention create an illustration showing ultra-structural morphology exhibited by the 2019 novel coronavirus, which was identified as the cause of the outbreak of respiratory illness first detected in Wuhan, in China. Adamant at containing the virus outbreak, Shanghai railway station rolls out temperature checks and thermal screenings on passengers entering and leaving the city, as travelers wore masks and undergo checks for high temperatures. China's National Health Commission says confirmed 7,711 cases with an additional 12,167 suspected cases. In a new case being confirmed, Finland becomes the latest country to have another coronavirus case. The patient is said to be a Chinese traveler from Wuhan and remains in isolation in Lapland's central hospital in northern Finland. Moreover, the national carrier Finnair becomes the first European airline to cancel flights to mainland China. France confirms fifth case of infection by the new virus. French health minister informs patient was the daughter of an 80-year-old man already hospitalized with the disease. Minister also says the first flight to evacuate French nationals from China would depart soon. Meanwhile, in the series of evacuating their nationals from China, India is preparing to airlift over 250 Indians from Wuhan and Hubei province and has already requested China for permission to operate 2 flights. South Korean President Moon Jae-in also urges countrymen not to give in to fear as country prepares to evacuate first of around 700 citizens from China in wake of the deadly virus outbreak. However, the first flight to Wuhan, scheduled to depart from South Korea on Thursday morning, is delayed. In other regions of the world, major U.S. carriers, American Airlines and United, announced suspension of flights to China. American Airlines says it will suspend flights from Los Angeles to Beijing and Shanghai, February 9 to March 27th. Meanwhile, Alphabet Incorporated Google is temporarily shutting down all its offices in China. Shutdown includes all offices in mainland China, Hong Kong and Taiwan. In Australia, the Chinese women's national soccer team remain in quarantine in Christmas Island over coronavirus concerns. Queensland Health authorities declare team will remain in isolation in their hotel until February 5th and is doing well. Australia, however, has confirmed 7 cases. On the other hand, the Australian government has defended their actions to quarantine Chinese nationals. Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton says Christmas Island is the only facility available where they can accommodate a potentially large number of people. Meanwhile, pertaining to its internal matters, New South Wales state government and federal government announces agreeing to split the cost of the bushfire recovery process. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian says cleanup will begin within the next couple of weeks and will be done by June. And in news from Mexico, 3 prisoners wanted by the U.S. for links to drug trafficking, including an alleged associate of the sons of Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, escaped from Mexico City prison on Wednesday morning, possibly with the help of prison staff. In other news from the country, Mexico's government returns hundreds of Hondurans back to their country after it largely halted a caravan of undocumented Central American migrants who invaded Mexico. Caravan is a group of several thousand people who last week fled rampant gang violence in Honduras. However, Honduran authorities urge their fellow countrymen to avoid going north. News from South America, heavy storms in Peru caused substantial flooding with the northern region of the Andean country particularly hard hit in some areas. Just 3 or 4 hours of significant rainfall left streets impassable and sent water pouring into homes and shops. Peru is in the midst of its rainy season, which extends through April. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro on Wednesday says he is willing to re-establish consular relations with neighboring Colombia amid a standoff between the 2 countries over a fugitive former Colombian senator who was captured in Venezuela. In news from Europe, marking an end to the Brexit dilemma, European Parliament gives final approval to Britain's divorce from the EU on Wednesday, paving the way for the country to quit the bloc on Friday, after nearly half a century and delivering a major setback for European integration. However, EU lawmakers expressed joy and sadness after the final approval. After an emotional debate during which several speakers shed tears, EU lawmakers voted 621 for and 49 against the Brexit agreement sealed between Britain and 27 other member states last October, more than 3 years since Britons voted out. When Britain's flags are to come down in Brussels at midnight on the 31st of January, UK's 73 MPs, among all 751 MEPs, will also become history. During the transition period, which ends on December 31st this year, Britain will abide by EU rules despite no longer being a member. Trade is one area of concern, with fears that Britain could become a low-tax competitor. In Switzerland, Swiss jewelry and watch brand De Grisogono files for bankruptcy ensnared in corruption probe. involving Angola's Isabel dos Santos. The move comes a week after a consortium of global media reported that De Grisogono was propped up with nearly $150 million in loans from Angolan entities to pay off the struggling company's debts and expenses. In France, thousands of demonstrators filled Paris' streets on Wednesday protesting the French government's planned pensions overhaul, claiming the movement has fallen to attention of President Emmanuel Macron. The march comes a day after the French parliament started examining the pension reform bill. In Palestine, President Mahmoud Abbas will soon speak in the UN Security Council about the US-Middle East peace plan. Palestinian UN envoy Riyad Mansour said on Wednesday. Mansour also hoped that the 15-member Security Council would vote on a draft resolution on the Israeli-Palestinian peace plan. Meanwhile, on the streets, Palestinians protested across the West Bank and in Jerusalem to vent their anger over proposals for a Middle East peace plan. Israeli police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse the protests, and 3 Palestinians were arrested in Jerusalem. In a new report, UNICEF warns that nearly 5 million children will need humanitarian assistance this year in the central Sahel region. It reports that a spike in armed conflict and insecurity in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger has also seen children attacked, abducted or recruited into armed groups. Sahel represents zone of transition in Africa. Caribbean residents and tourists assure that life is returning to normal after powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake strikes the Caribbean Sea between Jamaica and Cuba on Tuesday. The earthquake, however, spared the area from serious damage to property or loss of life. Meanwhile, a new CCTV footage of the earthquake has emerged. U.S. Senate on Wednesday entered a new phase in the impeachment trial as senators began the first of 2 planned days of posing questions to both Trump's legal team and the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Senate Republicans so far have refused to allow any witnesses or new evidence in the trial. In a surprising incident, Lev Parnas, a businessman who says he worked to pressure Ukraine to investigate one of President Donald Trump's political rivals, created a chaotic sideshow as he traveled to Washington for Trump's impeachment trial. Parnas has offered to testify in the impeachment trial, though Democrats have shown little interest in calling him as a witness. Meanwhile, away from the impeachment show, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a new North American trade agreement. In an outdoor ceremony at the White House, Trump renegotiated the 26-year-old North American Free Trade Agreement, a major campaign issue in 2016, and plans to tout its replacement. 12th edition of South Asia's leading international art fair and exhibition for modern and contemporary art, India Art Fair 2022, began at NSIC Exhibition Ground, New Delhi. Taking place annually, India Art Fair reflects the country's fast developing art scene as well as offering curated insights into the cultural landscapes of neighboring states. 536 fishermen needed rescuing after becoming stranded on an ice floe in the Sakhalin region on Russia's Pacific coast on Tuesday, despite warnings from the local emergencies ministry that the ice was unstable. SpaceX launches its 4th batch of 60 Starlink satellites on Wednesday, January 29th, the second of its 2020 push to get 1,500 satellites into space to become operational before the year's end. Following the release of the fairing that protects the satellites during launch, SpaceX successfully lands its Falcon 9's first stage rocket on a drone ship stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. Group of 2,126 people come together to display the culture, art and valor of the Rajputs and set a new Guinness World Record. Women dressed in colorful traditional dress move gracefully in coordinated movements, performing Talwar Ras under the flagship of former royal family of Rajkot in Gujarat. Man from China is filmed handing out masks at Thailand's Suvarnabhumi airport amid coronavirus outbreak. Man arrived with 15 to 20 boxes of masks and stayed for hours to hand them over to passers-by. Shiok meets A Singapore-based startup whose name means very good in local slang aims to become the first company in the world to bring shrimp grown in a lab to diners' plates. The cells are fed with nutrients in a solution and kept at a temperature of 28 degrees Celsius, which helps them multiply to become tasty shrimp. Jawbars, the 2-year-old snow leopard, which was partly blinded by shotgun pellets still lodged in its head, has finally recovered after life-saving surgery by a Kyrgyzstan charity. Native to Central Asia's high mountains and classed as a vulnerable species, the snow leopard is revered across the region. People across Europe gave their departing messages to UK ahead of its exit from the EU on Friday. Warm wishes as well as regrets voiced by EU citizens ahead of the exit date, with a desire to see a continued close relationship with Britain a recurrent theme. Students of the Northeast can now get information on various courses on offer in state and central government institutes using an Android app. The app, named Career Nirman and developed by the Hailakandi District Administration, will help reduce the need of students from Northeast to go to Chennai, Delhi or Hyderabad for higher education. Study published in Lancet journal suggests while bats may be the original hosts of the novel Chinese coronavirus, a currently unknown wild animal sold at a seafood market in Wuhan may be spreading the deadly virus to humans. The sun's turbulent surface revealed in unprecedented detail in first observations by newly operational Inouye solar telescope in Hawaii in the US, which scientists say will play a critical role in better understanding of our star as well as the space weather. Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, will take steps to improve its ranking, sets target of generating 200 crore rupees per year for funding research by 2024 through various sources, Director Professor B.S. Murthy says today. Scientists developed efficient, economical and environment-friendly technology that uses sunlight to degrade toxic liquid waste, and advance, they say, could significantly reduce waste management costs of industries. Novak Djokovic moves step closer to retaining Australian Open title with straight-set semi-final win over injury-hit rival Roger Federer. Serbia's Djokovic was 4-1 down in the opening set before recovering to win the tie-break. That laid the platform for the second seed to go on and win 7-6, 6-4, 6-3. Spanish top seed Rafael Nadal denied place in Australian Open semi-finals after Austria's Dominic Thiem rattles Nadal with a powerful display to win a 4-set thriller 7-6, 7-6, 4-6, 7-6. Alexander Zverev is through to Grand Slam semi-final for first time after defeating Stan Wawrinka 1-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 in 4 sets at the Australian Open. Garbine Muguruza continues her recent revival, reaching Australian Open final with straight-set win over Romania's Simona Halep. Unseeded Spaniard battled past the 4th seed in a 10-7, 6-7-5 semi-final victory. Sophia Kenin sends world number 1 Ash Barty spinning out of the Melbourne Park semi-final 7-6, 7-5 on, crushing Australian hopes of a first homegrown champion at the Grand Slam in 42 years. Indian challenge at Australian Open ends after Rohan Bopanna and his Ukrainian partner Nadia Kichenov knocked out in straight sets in quarterfinal of the mixed doubles event. The Indo-Ukrainian pair go down 0-6, 2-6 to 5th seed Nikola Mektic and Barbara Kestichkova in 47-minute encounter. Liverpool moves an incredible 19 points clear at the top of the Premier League as Mohamed Salah and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain secure a 2-0 win at West Ham. Salah opens the scoring with a first half penalty, and Chamberlain wraps up Liverpool's 15th successive league win after the interval. Manchester City reached the finals of Carabao Cup despite second leg defeat from Manchester United 1-0. Manchester Blues marching to finals after the score aggregate settles at 3-2 owing to their first leg win in Old Trafford. Manchester United agreed to a deal to sign Portugal midfielder Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon Premier League club said on Wednesday. Sporting confirmed United will pay an initial fee of 55 million euros, although the overall cost of the deal could increase with performance-related add-ons worth 25 million euros. Police are investigating an attack on the home of Manchester United Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward by people in hoods. A video posted on social media showed the group gathered outside the house in Cheshire, chanting threats towards Woodward and throwing red flares over the gate. Real Madrid make it 20 games unbeaten by thrashing Real Zaragoza 4-0 to ease into quarterfinals of Copa del Rey. Rafael Varane, Lucas Vazquez, Vinicius Jr. and Karim Benzema all scored, while Madrid were again without injured duo Gareth Bale and Eden Hazard. New signing Christian Eriksen enjoys a memorable debut as Inter Milan defeats Fiorentina 2-1 to reach Italian Cup semi-finals after 3 successive draws in Serie A. Antonio Conte's Inter were far from their best but still had enough to set up a last-four clash against Napoli. Canadian forward Christine Sinclair becomes all-time top scorer in international soccer, breaking mark held by American Abby Wambach when she netted her 185th goal against St. Kitts and Nevis in South Texas. Sinclair, playing her 290th international, scored the milestone goal from close range in the 23rd minute of the game. After successful online registration of 2,000 junior players who participated in the second edition of Golden League Football, Delhi on Wednesday handed out the first smart card, the unique identification card for football players around Delhi. China announces Thursday the suspension of all domestic football and postpones indefinitely top-flight Chinese Super League season in response to deadly viral outbreaks sweeping the country. CSL 2020 campaign had been due to kick off on February 22nd. Los Angeles Lakers coach Frank Vogel says his team will aim to epitomize what was great about former star Kobe Bryant, who perished alongside his daughter and 7 others in a helicopter crash near Los Angeles on Sunday. Ryan Reddington won his second John Beer sled dog marathon in the last 3 years when he crossed the finish line in Grand Portage, Minnesota, after 3 days of mushing along the north shore of Lake Superior in northeast Minnesota. The Athletics Integrity Unit Board on Wednesday called for the expulsion of Russia's suspended Athletics Federation, RUSAF, after what it describes as a total lack of contrition in its response to a long list of anti-doping violations. A totally refurbished track featuring 2 banked curves unique to Formula One racing should help Zandvoort permanently reclaim its place in motorsports elite class as it returns to the Netherlands for the first time since 1985. Over 100 builders have nearly completed 15 million euros overhaul of the picturesque circuit, designed to make it stand out among the other 21 races. Valentino Rossi will decide this year whether to call time on his stellar MotoGP career after Yamaha announced on Wednesday the signing of French youngster Fabio Quartararo as the Italian great's replacement from 2021. However, Quartararo will remain with the Petronas Yamaha non-works team for 1 more season. Actor Ratna Pathak Shah to essay role of Ranveer Singh's mother in his next film, Jayesh Bhai Zordar. The Gujarat-set humorous entertainer, being directed by debutant Divyang Thakur, stars Ranveer as a titular character and Arjun Reddy stars Shalini Pandey. Filmmaker Ekta Kapoor and producer Bhushan Kumar joining hands to create films together. Sequel to the 2014 film Ek Villain will mark producer duo's first of many collaborations where Mohit Suri is returning as the director. Actor Rasika Duggal joins cast of Anshuman Jha's directorial Lord Curzon Ki Haveli. The black comedy thriller also stars Arjun Mathur and Tanishtha Chatterjee. Director-writer Nahnachka Khan developing a young adult novel, I'll Be the One, as a feature for HBO Max streaming service. Khan, best known for Netflix film Always Be My Maybe, is also eyeing to direct the project. Shankar Ehsaan Loy Trio all set to perform at Shakti Foundation's annual fundraiser concert in Chennai. Fans hope to enjoy their trademark high-energy performance of a mix of Tamil and Hindi songs. Shraddha Kapoor and Varun Dhawan's Street Dancer 3D scores 53.34 crores in less than a week of its run at the box office, but collections are now sliding downwards. Teen sensation Billie Eilish on Thursday announced as performer for 2020 Academy Awards ceremony. Announcement made by Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences on Twitter. Basketball legend Kobe Bryant, who died in a helicopter crash on January 26, to be honored at Oscars 2020. Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences says Bryant had won an Academy Award in 2018 for animated short film Dear Basketball. It is a big splash of colors, strokes and innovative art activities at the 4th edition of the Children's Fine Art Fest 2020 at Hyderabad. Hosted by the Children's Fine Art Gallery, the 3-day festival is a platform for the young to interact with art and enhance their skills. Meanwhile, in the literary section, here are some of the novels which you can look up to in the coming month. Golden in Depth, an Eve Dallas novel by Nora Roberts, expected on 4th February 2020. When You See Me by Lisa Gardner, and When God Made the World by Matthew Paul Turner. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Express News. We'll be back again tomorrow at the same time on DD India with more 100 top stories making headlines. Keep watching DD News and DD India. Namaskar.